They trimmed the roster to 53. It all kind of went down after we did the show, all the way until the deadline, 4 o'clock. Anything surprise you? I think the biggest thing, my biggest takeaway, and we put this up on our Facebook page, facebook.com/thejunks, is that last year Ron Rivera drafted 7 guys, and 5 of them are no longer on the team.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm surprised.
5 out of 7.
I guess I'm not surprised just based on the history of his drafts, but that's hard to do. That's hard to do. That's hard to do in 7 rounds, 7 players for 5 of them to get cut. That's hard to do.
I think in fairness to those guys, other than Braden Daniels, who by all accounts was a project from day one, it just never looked the part. They just weren't this regime's guys. So if Ron was here, a lot of those guys would still be here. And
but
some
if they
may
were
come
good
back,
enough, they'd be here too.
maybe, but it's about fit and system. So if you're looking for a certain type of running back, or you're looking for a certain type of receiver, or a certain type of linebacker that does a certain thing, it doesn't necessarily mean they all suck. It just means maybe they're not that good, but they also don't fit what they're looking for.
They don't suck, but they're not that good.
Yeah.
I think it's an indictment. It's an indictment on Ron. It is.
That's the easy takeaway, but I don't think it's 100% that.
Well, you're coming to Ron's defense. If they were good enough,
I'm not really coming to Ron's defense. I'm coming to the guy's defense.
If they were impactful players, they would find a way to be on the team.
Well, the test is going to be, do they resurface anywhere else and succeed in the NFL?
So the guys who were whacked yesterday that were Ron's picks 1 year ago. By the way, an indictment on the Martys, too, because Ron made the final call, but Marty Herney and Martin Mayhew
They're still in the building,
were the
by the
chief
way.
personnel people.
I don't think Herney is. I think Mayhew is. I'm not sure.
I think
Herney
EB's
is
correct. I think Herney is no longer in the building.
At least one of the Martys
He's
is
just
still
getting
there.
a coffee.
Certainly Mayhew is.
But he's not doing much.
They should be ushered out, and they should never step foot in the building again.
The only surprise, and I do think it was a surprise. People act like they're not surprised, but it was a surprise that KJ Henry was like that.
Because he had a sack.
Well, he just has popped a little bit in every game, and I'm certain though. I would bet they bring him back.
Someone will pick him up. Yeah.
So the guys who were cut that were Ron's guys drafted again just 1 season ago. 3rd round center Ricky Stromberg, 4th round tackle Braden Daniels. You mentioned KJ Henry; he was drafted in the 5th round. Then Chris Rodriguez, 6th rounder, and then Andre Jones, 7th rounder. I almost give you a pass on even the 6th rounders.
Right. Yeah, it's hard.
But still,
3rd
as
and
Jason
4th
said,
rounder. That's hard to do.
If you draft 7 guys, I haven't done a study of every team, but if you draft 7 guys, you got to believe at least half of them remain on the team the next season.
But again, like EB mentioned, the huge factor is the regime change.
Yes, it's a huge factor.
Adam Peters,
Ron was still here. Half those guys would still be here.
He has no affinity for any of those guys.
Yeah.
If
he didn't
Ron
have to
was
prove
still
himself
here,
right.
Those guys, they want to validate the fact that they picked those guys, so they're not going to release them.
Well, that part is
Well,
true.
they also have
that part is true. And Eric, you're right, partly right, but JP is partly right as well. If Braden Daniels was a stud offensive lineman, you don't just give up stud offensive linemen.
No, none of them are that way.
If Stromberg was a stud offensive lineman, you're not going to get rid of a stud.
Stromberg was injured. So Stromberg showed promise. And, I mean, you ask people that cover the team, they'll tell you the injury took its toll on him. Daniels was never – that was the one pick that you could say from
everyone's kind of scratched their head.
Everyone said
on that one.
That guy blows.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be personal.
I mean, to be fair, the 1st and 2nd rounders still there.
Yeah.
So,
but I do think if Ron was still here, KJ Henry would still be here.
Probably.
Andre Jones would still be here.
Yes.
And probably Chris Rodriguez would still be here.
The 1st rounder's still there, but there's eyebrows raised about him.
I know.
It's not like he's a superstar.
No,
and then some notable names.
It was one of the worst drafts in history.
Some notable names of guys cut. They brought in Martavis Bryant a couple weeks ago. He had a touchdown catch. They released him.
He'll be back. I would bet everything.
In terms of quarterbacks, Sam Hartman and Trace McSorley were cut.
Hartman will be back.
We spent a lot of time talking about wide receivers. Not only was Martavis Bryant cut, they did cut Kaz Allen, Mitchell Tinsley, Bryson Tremaine.
Bryce Tremaine will be back.
Davion Davis
Don't know about
and
him.
the Roseme Jack Saint guy.
Yeah, I mean, so look, you got to fill the practice
They got
squad with a bunch of
16
guys.
spots on the practice squad.
So there'll be some guys filled. Yeah.
Those guys are a lot of those guys are coming. I also want
I
a back
thought
padding
Wiley-
machine. Back padding machine.
It's always there. Why are you looking at me?
I told you guys, Driscoll. It was impressive. They kept him.
He's okay.
Well, we knew they were going to keep him.
First of
No,
all,
we didn't. We
he's-
thought they were going to keep 2 quarterbacks.
He's not.
Well, either
impressive.
that or
He was. He
I would
impressed him
argue
enough.
with him being ever impressive.
He
but
impressed him enough to keep
Okay,
3
it's-
quarterbacks.
yeah, he's
That's not
okay.
surprising when they brought him in.
I
He's
would
okay.
put
I mean-
Jeff Driscoll.
Oh, you guys
and
are changing your
impressive
tune.
in the same.
You guys are changing your
sentence.
tune.
I don't think any of us stood on a table and said Jeff Driscoll was getting cut.
You guys said that they were going to keep 2 quarterbacks.
Well, I thought they might keep him on the active
And
or
then-
put him on the
I'll
practice
just be
squad.
brutally honest here. I don't care about third stringers.
Right. I don't
I-
care that you don't care about it. I'm just telling you, he played well. He was impressive, and I was proven correct. Impressive enough to make the roster as a
Fine.
journeyman.
I don't care
Dude.
about the 53rd guy on the roster.
You
I
don't want to
generally
give me
don't.
the props.
I don't remember having a debate about whether Jeff Driscoll would make the team.
I had a debate with Cakes just that he was impressive, and Cakes again quibbling. Just like you don't like to argue about the last receivers, he doesn't like to argue about third quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Look,
I'm not saying
if
he's going
if you
to
want
win a game for
if
them.
you want a life win for being team Jeff Driscoll, take
Jeff
life
Driscoll-
win.
You know what?
I
I
just
just
correct
don't-
on it.
I
I was
just-
correct. He was impressive enough that he earned a spot. That's all.
Others, I know I said he looked impressive. I don't know whether I stood on a table so he would make the
enough
team.
to be a third stringer.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Well,
Thank
you know
you.
what? He's got a job. He's making a salary.
Thank
For
you.
him.
That's good.
Thank you.
I have no animosity towards Jeff Driscoll.
No.
I just know that
Just give me the dub.
he's.
You can have
You
it.
can have
Thank
a
you.
very minor life dub. Congrats.
Thank
you
you.
win.
Thank you. I just want the dub. I just my
Jeff
keen eye for
Driscoll.
talent. I said the guy's played well in the preseason. He deserves a spot. I was convinced they were going to keep 2
You
too.
have a weird thing for like the 50th to 53rd guy on
So
roster.
wait a
I like
second.
underdogs.
Wait a second. I don't
Kyle
understand
Allen
how you
and
can
Jeff
take a win.
Driscoll.
You just said your last statement was, "I was convinced they were only going to keep 2 quarterbacks too."
Well, you guys
So how are you
convinced
getting a
me.
dub?
Because
if
I
you're
said
on
he
both,
deserved
you're-
the spot.
This is what you do. You're on both sides.
No.
If they cut him, you'd say,
I
"Yeah, I
stood
told
on
you
the
they're going to keep 2
table for him.
quarterbacks," but now you 3. You just contradicted yourself.
No, you don't see the nuance.
Here's a
in it.
question.
It's not nuance. What is it? You said that they were going to keep 2 quarterbacks,
You guys
and now
have
he's taking a
convinced
win
me-
for taking the 3rd quarterback.
I just told you he was impressive. I
He
didn't.
played both sides of it almost.
No. I said he was impressive, deserved a spot. You guys had me convinced they were only going to keep 2. I feel like I've been vindicated
All right. Well, here's the question: why are they keeping 3?
because I don't know. Because I don't think they love
That I
Mariota.
don't know.
That I'll be honest.
Why are
with
they
you.
keeping 3?
I'm not sure.
That's interesting.
And it could only last today. They could because they'll probably pick up some guys. I mean, guys are going to get cut today, and I could be taking this life win, and by 10 a.m. he's.
But it just doesn't make sense.
I mean, that's very.
Now I'm praying that happens.
That's
It's
very
only
possible.
3. The Browns kept 4.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
the
guess,
Browns
I guess
kept 4.
teams, they just want to stockpile quarterbacks because it's so hard to find any sort of quarterback talent.
Right.
So
It's viable.
other notable moves or roster cuts would be they did keep the 3 tight ends we expected, and then
They
we
kept-
knew that Cole Turner was on the bubble. He is not on the Commanders.
No, but there are teams that were interested in him. The Chargers are interested, and the Philadelphia Eagles are interested in him. In fact,
He's going to have to find another golfing guy. He's mowing through Commanders tight ends now.
The
Logan
third-
Thomas, Cole Turner.
The 3rd running back they decided to keep was Jeremy McNichols. I thought Wiley had a little something, but
McNichols could get cut today too. He's another one. A lot of people are speculating that they're going to be really searching the waiver wire today, and they're in a very advantageous spot. We've barely talked
yeah, the
about it.
second
being
pick, yeah.
number 2, we get basically first crack at everybody out there
Dibs on guys.
Yeah.
so Fedarian Mathis makes it.
for now.
Sure, but he's a draft choice from a couple seasons ago. Ridgeway made it.
Ridgeway, there was interest apparently. A bunch of people were interested. I don't know. I guess they didn't step up to the level that they wanted, which I think they were only asking was a 5th rounder. But they've temporarily kept both. I'm not convinced that they're both going to be here come that first game. We'll see.
they kept Tyler Owens too.
Tyler Owens, I think it was almost a lock.
Yeah,
the way
he
had
played
been
well in the
being
preseason.
jocked. Yeah. I think the guys that are vulnerable are McNichols, probably Driscoll's probably vulnerable. Maybe Maybe a receiver's vulnerable. Go through the receivers again. The back end is Crowder and Pringle. Yeah. Vulnerable.
Yeah. In terms of the
by the way,
depth chart.
I told everybody, back patting that you're going to keep Crowder. All right,
Okay. So you get
if he's going to take
props for that.
Driscoll, I want Crowder.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, you get that.
All right. You were telling me they were trying all kinds of guys
Well,
out.
I was just
returning
so
punts.
surprised that he didn't take any reps. They just assume
They just know
he can do
They
it.
know what he can do.
Just
Yeah.
Were
trust
there
him.
any names on the waiver wire that intrigued you? I know at wide receiver, there were a couple names that I thought, well, they're upgrades over Byron Pringle. They're upgrades over Jamison Crowder, and in my opinion, De'Ami Brown.
Names like who? Like
Well,
Allen.
like
don't say
Darius
Allen
old guys
Robinson.
like Allen Robinson.
He's
Oh, no, he's
so
done.
done.
Now he ended up getting picked up, but there was all that talk that Tim Patrick was going to be cut.
Yeah.
He got traded.
He ended up getting traded.
What about Kadarius Toney? I think he's a handful, and I don't think you want to necessarily add that.
And he always hurt.
But
He's
he
always
is
banged up.
shifty, and he's an athletic freak.
He's a super freak, but
Yeah.
he can't stay on the field. And
I think there's
he's
off the field
definitely a
issues.
nightmare in the
Yeah.
locker room.
Yeah, but we don't have too many. We've talked about it. We don't have too many explosive players.
Yeah.
He actually fits the bill.
Yeah. Problem is it's hard to keep him on the field.
Yeah, maybe they could sign him to a practice squad. I think Martavis will be back on the practice squad, which I think that was kind of the plan all along.
Is Sterling Shepard available?
I'd have to look, see if he's out there. He's a guy that's
Was
been
he-
dogged by injuries a lot throughout his
Yeah.
career, too.
Man, I can't believe Terrace Marshall was cut. Second-round pick,
Yeah.
cut after 2 years.
I just think that the receiving core, and we've talked about it, needs an upgrade. But not that the guys who are going to get cut are a great upgrade, but I'm intrigued by Kadarius Toney, EB.
Yeah,
So Shepard is.
Didn't he catch a couple touchdowns in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I know. I
believe he scored at least one.
I don't know his resume. I just know that whenever I've seen him, that guy's shifty and he's very athletic.
Shepard is with the Bucks practice squad. He's in Tampa Bay. Maybe he'll be facing the Commanders in week 1. He gets elevated off the practice squad.
I guess it was just one touchdown
Right.
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But still,
what's
he had
Justin
2 punt
Ross's
returns
deal?
for 77 yards.
Cakes.
What about him?
Justin Ross?
Is he available?
Is he a fast guy?
No,
just
he's
let-
a big guy.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's like 6'4".
We just need a few.
Also
more
had
explosive
some
guys.
serious injuries.
What about Donovan Peoples-Jones, Cakes?
Kind of a
He's very
journeyman.
mid.
Yeah. I mean,
Mid,
he'd be battling for the 5th or 6th spot on your team.
Well, I think
Type of guy.
any of these guys will be.
Right.
Yeah. So the 6 on the depth chart: McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, Luke McCaffrey. We knew those 4 were going to make it. Crowder and Pringle are the 2
I mean,
that are
if
complete the wide receiver room.
if Terry McLaurin doesn't have a career high in targets with that hodgepodge of other wide receivers in the room, I'm flummoxed.
Well, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm doing everything in my power to take him out of the plan.
certainly.
All right, double him, do whatever.
Yeah.
Make Brown, Zach, Pringle, McCaffrey beat
Yeah.
me.